Welcome to Odds.com's Sunday NFL Pregame Show. Daylight savings, an extra hour to plan out our attack on this Sunday's card. Bebsy, I'm pumped up. I added 5 bets today. Puts me at 9. I had a very small group of action. You have a big, beautiful group of action. First of all, happy Sunday. How are you today, Bebsy?
I'm feeling pretty good. I like that extra hour. Not for football. I just needed a little extra hour of recovery today. But feeling good. Feeling ready. Feeling like, I don't know, I might add some action today too. Who knows? I do like that you added a bunch because it felt weird me having such a larger card than you.
It was, but it happens. You take what the league offers you. I like your action. I'm against you on one spot, but I think you're in a good spot. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We have a huge card to break down. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Nuke Worker. We got Matthew Edwards, Mr. Fun Monk, Gas Station Sushi, Viper NB, Randy, Brand, Spenny, Penny Bombs. What an absolute great group. Big Schnizzle, Ohio's finest in Cleveland as we speak, giving us up-to-date weather. Gas Station Sushi says Tua has a rough day today. Short quarterbacks have a tough time with the pass rush that comes from the middle. Aaron Donald crushes Tua. There's 2 spots that if it wasn't short week for the Rams, I'd be on them already. I'm close to adding them anyways at -3.5. I'm also close to adding the Patriots. We're going to go over all of our action, but most importantly, thank you for joining us. Perfect Rotation says we in here, baby. And we have Bebsy sitting 29-13 on the season, hitting 69%, up 13.99 units. ROI plus 33.31%. Average line -112. I'm not so nice. 37-34, hitting at 52.1%, -1.10 units. ROI -1.55%. Average line -111. All right, great group. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And let's get after it now. We got Chase Dozier, Sonny Griffin, Pepper, Vincent Gigante, Jimmy Stain, Tony Bruscher, Dylan Turner, G Biz. What a great group. Dennis Garcia. All right, let's get after it right now. Bebsy, we're going to start by reviewing your action. What are you excited about, even more bullish on, and what concerns you? The first blaring issue we have on our action is this Tennessee-Cincinnati over. It's the biggest point drop. I mean, you can't just call it because of Mixon's injury, but it's down to 50 right now. You could get it at 49.5. We got on at 54.5. To make matters worse, I doubled up on it first half full game. That's a glaring issue for us. But let's go over your action. You have the Colts -2.5, Packers first half -3.5, Packers full game -6.5, Titans -6, Tennessee, Cincinnati over 54.5, Pittsburgh team total over 20.5, Chicago team total under 19.5. You have Eagles -7 at -110. That was a great score early in the week. You have Bucks first half -6.5. Bucks team total over first half 13.5. Anything scare you? Anything you love?
Well, you mentioned the over in the Tennessee game, although I'm still fairly confident with that. I'd obviously feel a lot better if I had 49, or 49.5 rather. And my spite bet is, I think that might catch me, but we'll see.
Despite the Bears under team total under 19.5, look, there's so much that it makes sense. So much of that bet makes so much sense to me. The reason why we got into it in that show on Tuesday was just, and the only stat is because Saints defense is good. It's just their red zone defense is worst in the league. And can the Bears take advantage of it? I don't know. I don't think it's a bad spot. And that number, as soon as you bet it, within a day, it was down to 18.5. So I don't dislike it. I doubled up on the Tennessee Cincinnati overs, and I'm just shocked at it falling off. Weather's not that bad. Buccaneers, I have the same action. You have first half -6.5, first half team total over 13.5, and those are not available anymore. And then my additions, I doubled up on the Ravens, first half -3, -105, full game -4, -110. I also took the Jets Chiefs under 49 at -110. I jumped on the Bengals +7 at -110 and the Cowboys +10.5. Let's get to work. Birdie in the chat, Charlie, Maxwell Smart, ZZZ, Dina. Let's go and start breaking down each and every one of these games. First off, you're on the Colts -2.5. That's moved to 3. So that should make you feel good that you got that. It's a very important hook that you got. Colts coming off their bye week. We saw them 2 weeks ago in their 31-27 comeback win at home over the Bengals. Indy fell behind 21-0 to the Bengals, 24-7.5, and came back. Marcus Johnson's become a dynamic wide receiver for them. He had career highs of 5 receptions, 108 yards. It helps because T.Y. Hilton's doing nothing. He had 1 catch for 11 yards last out. Jonathan Taylor has some nice stats. 500-plus yards from scrimmage, 3 rushing touchdowns, career high 115 yards from scrimmage against the Bengals. But the Colts are averaging an NFL low 3.59 yards per carry. Darius Leonard expected to be back. I don't know if anybody has that information, but he's not on the injury report, so I expect him to be back. Colts have allowed a league low 6 sacks, and Lions aiming to win 3 straight, have a winning record in November or later for the first time in Patricia's 3 years. They've scored first in each of their first 6 games. Golladay rolling with 100 yards receiving in each of his last 2 games. He's rolling. Hawkinson has scored touchdowns in 3 straight games. And then their rush defense has improved vastly. So they were the worst in the league, allowing 170-plus yards. Then they go up against Jacksonville, Atlanta, who struggle on the ground. They give up 110 combined. Everson Griffin can't practice, so they picked him up, newly acquired defensive end. He can't practice or play till next week. And Okwara, 4 sacks, playing very good. Bebsy, how do you feel about your Colts at minus 2.5? And what do you think of this total that's dropped a point or a 1.5 from 50 to 49 or 48.5?
I'm still pretty happy with this play, to be honest with you. It's just a better team coming off a rest. They are a well-coached football team. I do think they're going to get that run game going today against Detroit. And I also think just having Leonard back is a massive lift for them. So I really like it. I don't put much stock into the recent wins for Detroit. So I can see why this has gone up to a full 3. But, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I would still probably take it at 3. I'm happy to be sitting at 2.5, though.
Yeah, I like it. I was talking with Birdie about the total in this game. I was interested in the under. The issue basically was, do you trust Rivers to not throw a pick 6, not throw a costly interception? What do you think of this total that's moved from 50 down to 49 or 48.5?
Yeah, I mean, the under makes a bit of sense to me, and so I understand why it would go down. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I do lean under here. I just don't know if it's sitting right around where I imagine it landing, so I'm not excited about that play. Certainly not going to add it to my card, but if I had a free play, I think I would take the under.
Birdie's going to take Lions money line. It says Lions are getting overlooked in this spot. Perception is setting those lines. Lions should be a favorite. Lions better defense. And then you have Dennis Garcia wanting to grab the Lions, debating whether to take it at +3, at +105 right now, or waiting for the 3.5. And I'm off this spot. I don't know exactly what to do with the Lions. And I faded them last week against the Falcons. I split that 50-50. You were only on the first half, so you cashed yours. And I'm not sure what to do. And I don't have that much faith in the Colts the way I see it. If they're averaging 3.59 yards per carry, and the Lions have a pretty good defense, okay defense, you're able to have never really rush more than 4, always have 7 defenders back guarding the pass. And I don't know how they beat you with big chunks if Marcus Johnson's their real best playmaker right now, and T.Y. Hilton's nowhere to be found. So,
hey, maybe T.Y. wakes up this week. Who knows? I just think that O-line's going to get bullish today. I like Jonathan Taylor in this game. The only thing that'll worry me a lot is if the Lions go up early. Now that could hurt Lions fans if they go up early because the Lions like to blow leads. But I just think then you're putting the ball in Rivers' hands, which scares me. So as long as the Colts can, get up early, stay up early, play defense, then I like this play a lot.
That's the first game. We're going to be going down the rotation order right now. Colts, Lions. Thank you guys so much for watching us live. Anybody can watch us live here on YouTube, but once kickoff starts, this video will be exclusively on odds.com. That won't be available on YouTube, just odds.com. So if you're ever watching this show, after kickoff. That's where you'll find it on odds.com. All right, let's move on to Vikings-Packers. This is a double-up spot for you. First half, you got -3.5. Full game, you got -6.5. Those are still available now. Let me make sure that first half is available now too. Yeah, they're both available now. Why don't I'll break down how I'm seeing this game with the Vikings coming off a bye week, and I'll go over the cornerback issues for the Vikings and what we expect from the Packers without Aaron Jones. But let's first start. How do you feel about your double up after sitting on it for 5 days? More confident or less confident?
I'm still loving this spot. Nothing's changed for me. They look. They've been all but 1 week. They've been cashing for me, so I'm pretty content here. It's just it's a good team versus a terrible team, and I don't care that it's divisional. I'm just happy to be in this spot.
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess these coming off the bye week is just always has me hesitant. Thank you, Christian Rivas, my man. Love it. Our guy Christian, spreading the word of our show. So 36 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 23 miles per hour is the wind. 1-5 Vikes, 5-1 Packers. Vikings coming off the bye week. Last seen ugly 40-23 loss at home to the Falcons. They surrendered 40-plus points for the second time this year. They hadn't done that in the past 5 years. Cousins picked off 3 times. His interception rate, 5.7%, the highest in the league. They have the third worst turnover ratio of -7. Cousins is already throwing 4 more interceptions, 4 more than all of last year. The biggest issue with the Vikings, and this is not an issue you want to have when you see when you see Rodgers across from center. Holden Hill and Mike Hughes are already ruled out. Dantzler was placed on COVID restrictive list on Wednesday. So Dantzler could come back if he passes the protocols, but I don't know if he's going to be. That's just on Wednesday. Jeff Gladney would be the only regular cornerback available for the Vikes. I mean, that's just huge. Huge.
Yeah, that's devastating, especially when you're going against a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. It just makes me love this play even more. So Todd Davis, linebacker, joined him on the COVID reserve list, so he's going to be out. So then you have probably Troy Dye, who's coming on off the injured reserve, a rookie linebacker. They also have a starting guard, Pat Elflein, coming off the injured reserve. They were both hurt in week 2. That will help them. Dalvin Cook expected to be ready to go. Vikings netted only 32 rush yards last week. And then you have this Packers team beat Minnesota 43-34 Minnesota in the opening game. Devontae Adams was dominant in that game. Packers are 8-0 against the NFC North since LaFleur took over as coach. Packers play at San Francisco on Thursday. Does that concern you at all, Debsy, that they have that short week coming up? No, I don't think so. I just feel I don't see this as a look-ahead problem for them here. I think it's still a divisional game. They know how important it is. And, San Francisco is not the team that we thought they were at the start of the year, large in part due to injuries. So I don't think if you're Green Bay, you're looking at that game. Maybe LaFleur is because, that's his old coaching tree there and his brother coaches there. But I don't think that's going to be a problem for Green Bay today. No
Aaron Jones. What kind of a drop is it to Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon?
Obviously, it's a drop. Aaron Jones is a fantastic running back, but they still have a very good O-line, and they still have a great running game. They have solid backups there. And again, this LaFleur is the Shanahan coaching tree, so it's in the running game, it's next man up, and I think they're going to be fine.
Kevin King is going to miss his 3rd game with a quadriceps injury, so Josh Jackson's been starting in his place. Bakhtiari with the chest injury, he's questionable. I don't know if he's going to be in. We expect Mason Crosby, the kicker, to be in. Running back Tyler Irvin, who's not that important. Safety Raven Green, oblique, and defensive lineman Tyler Lancaster's shoulder they're all questionable right now. If I had a free play, sure, I take the Packers -6.5, but I just was hesitant all week. And Vincente says Rodgers and Adams will feast on that horrible Vikings secondary. Jason Lyra says, do you think Rodgers struggles throwing with that wind? What do you think with that 23-mile-per-hour wind against this weak Viking secondary? Do you think they still attack?
I think Aaron throws a missile, and he's a vet. He doesn't have a weakened arm like some of the older quarterbacks we've seen. I don't think this is an issue. Aaron Rodgers has played in worse weather than this. It's just that's not scaring me at all. I agree. I don't know who said it, but yeah, who's going to cover Devontae Adams? No one. They just don't have somebody in that secondary right now that can stay on him.
And Hood Trucka says Green Bay, no brainer. Rob T says anyone taking the Vikes going to be closing their eyes and praying every time Cousins drops back to throw. Schnizzle's taking the Packers -6. Alrighty, there you go. There. Now let's move on to Patriots Bills. This is I came so close to taking Patriots +4.5. So close. Let's talk this game out. 46 Fahrenheit, showers in Buffalo, 22 miles per hour. It's ugly weather here in Toronto, ugly weather also just down the road in Buffalo. Pats have lost 3 straight, coming up their worst home loss of the Belichick era. Let's see what we are dealing with here. 4.5s Buffalo opened at -4 at Bet365, 4.5s. This total dropped all the way down to 40.5, and now there's 41s on the board. I was wondering if anybody was going to try for a middle who got in on that under early. All right, Pats gone 286 games without a 3-game losing streak. And here they are on a 3-game losing streak. 11 turnovers in their past 3 games. Defense has allowed a 100-yard rusher in 2 straight outings. Newton, 39.7 quarterback rating against the 49ers, 3rd worst of his career. Belichick, 35-5 against Buffalo over 20-season stretch. Brandon Copeland, torn pectoral muscle, done for the year. Stephon Gilmore out of the lineup. So Julian Edelman, Justin Herron on injured reserve. Cody Davis activated off IR. So that's a linebacker and a safety. Isaiah Zuber, defensive end Tashawn Bauer elevated from the practice squad. Sony Michel removed from the COVID list, but still on IR. So that running game's still going to hurt the Pats. And then I don't know what to do quite with this Bills squad. Stop their 2-game losing streak in ugly fashion, 18-10 win over the Jets. The Bills have scored 51 points over their past 3 games. Stephon Diggs leads the AFC, ranks 4th in the NFL with 603 yards receiving. We know that Belichick, the first thing he likes to do is take away your best weapon, but can he do that without Stephon Gilmore? Bills have already allowed 12 touchdown passes, but that's not going to hurt him against this wide receiving group of the Pats that's just in terrible, terrible shape. Micah Hyde as a concussion. I don't know if you guys know if he's going to be in. He did not practice because of it. John Brown practicing fully. He's ready to go. Milano and Edmonds are playing at less than 100%. And we have Levi Wallace and Delshon Phillips back. Do you think I should pull the trigger on the Patriots +4.5?
See, I'm leaning the other way. I feel like the only thing that's bothering me is just how bad the Bills have been lately. They've had 3 bad games in a row, including that win last week against the Jets where they did not look good against a terrible Jets team. So this is tough. This is a tough spot. I really logic says the Bills should take this, and especially given the fact that they have been waiting for some redemption against this Patriots team that's embarrassed them for 2 decades. But they have not been playing well as of late. So this is a really hard one for me. I'm staying away from it. You gave me a free play, I'd go Bills, but I can completely understand why you would want to take the Pats and the points here.
Yeah, I guess I'll just stay off. Good points being made as to why I should stay off. N'Keal Harry out as well.
These teams are limping into this game. They're injured. They look bad. Gilmore wanting out of town is a real bad sign. The Patriots have just lost so much. It's not just Tom Brady that left this offseason. They had a ton of guys leaving free agency, and then they had 5 or 6 guys that opted out due to COVID this year. This is just not a team that Edelman's been invisible all year. N'Keal Harry's hurt. There's no one left. There's no one left. And it doesn't matter how great of a coach is Bill Belichick is. They just don't have enough talent to win football games right now.
Yeah, and I'll stay off of it. This is from our man Birdie. He says, I think you dodged the bullet, Jimmy. Gilmore not playing, wants to be traded. I think there's issues surrounding the Pats right now. This is a complete stay-away game for Birdie. Okay. Well, there had to be a reason why I didn't bet it. So Let's see what Hood Trucker says. Bills got 6 field goals against the Jets, but never punted. Offense was rolling, just couldn't punch it in. Yeah, they ended every drive in Jets territory, but come on. I think the only impressive thing they did was holding the Jets to 4 yards in the second half. Nothing else impressed me in that game. JG Dub says 17-10 final. I don't know why I didn't jump on this under. It had moved on our Tuesday night show. It had moved from 45.5 to 43.5. But still, it just seemed like it was the play, and I guess I was upset that I didn't. All right. Lily Gunn saying not the same Patriots. Definite stay away. Al Mack looking at a Josh Allen anytime a touchdown. ZZ Dina says Brain says Bills. Hart says do what you want. Go against Bill Belichick. Okay, let's move on to Titans Bengals. This is a tricky game. Seeing this total just completely drop is confusing. Now sitting at 49. I mean, this is unbelievable. 46 Fahrenheit, sunny, 20 miles per hour is a win. Titans coming off that 27-24 loss at home to Pittsburgh. Tennessee's won 5 straight regular season road games. They allowed the Steelers to convert 13 of 18 third down, score on 5 of the first 6 drives. Tennessee's allowed a league-high 28 sacks. They've allowed opponents to cover third downs at a rate of 61%. That's worse than the league. Their red zone touchdown rate also, they're allowing 80.9%. That's 31st. Titans average 31.4 points per game. They average 401.3 yards per game. Henry leading the league on the ground. They've scored 20 touchdowns and 25 red zone trips. That's 3rd in the league. And Tannehill's just been a monster. They don't have cornerback Christian Fulton, but they're pretty healthy other than that. And then we have Cincinnati struggling right now. Tackle Bobby Hart ruled out. So Jonah Williams and Trey Hopkins, neck and concussion, are hurt. I don't know if they're going to be in the lineup, but if they're out, I don't know how Burrow keeps rolling the way he is, and he's playing so well. He's leading the league in completions and attempts. Number 3 in yards passing. Went 35-47 last out. Tyler Boyd rolling. Joe Mixon out. They traded Carlos Dunlap. Good to get him out of the locker room. And opponents have scored 18 touchdowns on 25 red zone trips this season against the Bengals. And now it's at 49, Bebsy. What do you think of the total dropping all the way to 49 and us going heads up against each other, Titans, Bengals?
I like us going heads up because I think you're wrong. But I don't like the points going down that much. It's just hard sitting there with that 54.5 when you could get in. Like, now I would jump on it still. Even with the injuries, I really just feel like this Titans team is going to roll, and I see them. Their defense has been horrendous all year. So I see the Bengals still, with all the injuries, being able to put up some second half garbage time points and still get this cover. But the points, I mean. But this Cincy team is just terrible, and the Tennessee game is, or Jesus, I can't talk at all right now. The Tennessee Titans are still a fantastic squad, so I like where I'm sitting. I don't know if you should. Are you still confident in your Tennessee pick here or your Cincy pick here?
Yes, I made it today. Everybody's on the Titans, and I'm not just trying to look smart. I see this Titans defense being so weak. There's no reason why the Bengals can't stay within 7. So for me, it was one I was waiting. I was just waiting for it to hit 7. I wonder if it keeps going up from here. But I was waiting very patiently for it to hit 7. And I just think that touchdown is just a little too much. M. Stro says, what's the team total in Cincy? I'll give that to you right now. The team total here, it's just dropped so fast. It's down to 20.5 for Cincy, and it's juiced to the under. That's crazy. Dylan Turner making a move on Bengals money line. Ichnizzle, Titans -7. Henry going to control the game. Tannehill will manage it. I like Burrow, but I see this as Titans getting it done. Kevin Movita on Tennessee first half. And Al Cervic talking about this Cincy O-line, how bad it is. John Jones says Bengals can keep it close. So it's a heads-up spot. Glide OG says Titans will win for sure. Josh Murphy can get the over 50. Josh, I'd just wait a little bit longer. You can get the 49. Yeah, J Peach, and anybody who ever wants to hit me, it's just jimmythebag@hotmail.com.
I'll put it to you this way. If the Bengals can cover the spread, then I'm more confident in the over.
I agree.
So if I lose one, I like my chances of winning the other at least.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to Raiders, Browns. We also have where the money's flowing in all of these games right now. So Bills, Patriots, heavy cash and tickets on the Bills. In the Packers, Vikings, we have 87% of the cash, 88% of the tickets on the Packers. In the Colts, Lions game, a little bit more cash on the Colts, actually 58% on but the tickets are even. In Titans, Bengals, 82% of the cash and 86% of the tickets on the Titans. Very, very interesting. All right, let's move on to Raiders, Browns. This was a spot that was available earlier in the week, and I should have pulled the trigger. Could have got the Raiders at +2.5 on Tuesday. They opened at +3 at Bet365. They're now at +1. This total has dropped probably due to weather, but it's just falling apart. 55.5 all the way down to 47. 47. Mr. says weather's making people take unders. 42 Fahrenheit, showers, 28 mile per hour winds. And Bebsy, I wanted to take a Josh Jacobs prop. And then he missed a couple days of practice with his knee. His knee was barking. That made me not want to take it. He was just held to 17 yards on 19 carries. And then this quote from him this week almost made me take it again. I still haven't moved on. It says, I was embarrassed. I feel like it was very embarrassing to me. I went and looked at film. I went and watched practices. I watched previous games. I wanted to see where I can improve my game, what I can bring to this team. They're also going to have Trent Brown back. So offensive line that's been practicing together all week. Is this a bounce back spot for the Raiders?
I think it's a tough spot. You know, they should obviously play better than they did last week. Getting their offensive line back together is going to help. That does scare me a little bit with Jacobs sitting out this week with his knee not right. I don't know. If I'm Gruden, I don't even know if I play him. That guy's too important to this team and the future of the team. If his knee's not right, sit him down. This 1 week is not worth this guy's career. And anytime a running back's knee goes out, you worry about them ever coming back to being the same player that they are, even now with how far they've come. So I think you're right to stay away from that Josh Jacobs prop because of that thing. Otherwise, I'd be with you. He had such a bad week last week. So you would expect him to bounce back this week. But if he had a bad week because his knee's not right, then yeah, stay away until we know a little bit more about that.
But how much do I trust it, actually, Bebsy? That was what I started thinking. Maybe he just wanted to spend a couple days off, want to spend a couple days going over tape, what's going wrong. Like I don't know I don't have inside information on whether or not that's real or not.
No, and I keep contacting the Raiders organization to let me know what's going on there, and they still not returning my calls. But
damn it,
yeah, man, I would stay away from that props. I would love to see Jacobs go off, but I also, man, I'm curious to see what Baker does without. I saw stats earlier in the week that he's like 8-1 without OBJ in the lineup. I really do believe that OBJ puts a lot of pressure on Baker, and they force a lot of balls to him that shouldn't go with him. I really think this could be addition by subtraction with this Browns team, and I think they spread this ball around properly, use more of their weapons, focus on that run game, which they should have been doing all year. So a big part of me really likes the Browns here.
Higgins has looked great. And Landry becomes the number one, something he wants to be. And then People Jones up the depth chart. He can step up. Myles Garrett practiced Friday after missing 2 days with an ankle injury. Browns without right guard Wyatt Teller and tight end Austin Hooper. Teller misses third straight game with a calf injury. And OBJ gone. I mean, it was a very impressive game last out from Mayfield after starting 0-5 with a pick. I was like, God, is he really hurting? Then he just goes off. Ixnizzle on Higgins over 3 receptions. Makes a lot of sense here. Lamont, Nasty Nate saying Pats win. Lamont Williams with us. We got Stu Boo ready to go. Noli Knows in the chat. -1. Cleveland now 1-point favorites. I know Birdie's on the Raiders. And Paquette says Jacobs is playing. Yeah. After reading that comment, I was like, man, should I go back to that prop? I think at 75.5 yards. I think that Ruggs play makes sense. What do you think of that Ruggs prop that Schnizzle's on?
What was it? Sorry, I missed
Over
it.
3 catches.
I thought that was a Higgins prop.
Oh, yeah. Did I say Ruggs? My fault. Sorry. Yeah, Higgins. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly makes a lot of sense. Look, Baker, his stats, he is considerably better without Odell Beckham. And you just wonder, you hear whispers of this all the time, and obviously there's no way for us really to know what goes on, but you see him on the sidelines yelling. And then you hear from other people that OBJ is a great teammate, but at the same time, like I can't help but see this guy as a negativity. You don't let a guy that talented out the door like the Giants did if there isn't bigger problems with him. So I'm really curious to see this. Baker at Oklahoma was so good at spreading the ball around, and you see him force targets to OBJ time and again. I really think this is addition by subtraction here. With OBJ out, I do believe this offense functions better. I like the over prop for Higgins catches. That's what that whole ramble was about.
I hear you. A lot of guys are getting 3.5. If I could get 3.5, I would bet it. I'm getting 4.5, and that's juice to the over. So, all righty. Let's move on right now to the Jets Chiefs. So, what do you think of this under 49 that I moved on this morning, Bebsy? Well, let's talk about the main spots in this game. First off, Chiefs giant favorites, 19.5 points, open at 20.5. This total's gone up a point from 48 to 49. 49 Fahrenheit, sunny, 10 miles per hour. It's nice over on the East Coast. Darnold, 12 of 23 for 120 yards. Second lowest total of his career against the Bills. Sacked 6 times. Logains took over the play calling, and it worked for the first half. They got totally stopped in the second half. Last in the NFL in almost every major offensive category. We have Jamison Crowder, Brashad Perryman inactive, Cam Clark, linebacker Blake Cashman, cornerback Quincy Wilson. So they're in a bad spot. Safety Bradley McDougald out with a shoulder injury. Denzel Mims looked okay in his first start, 42 yards. Braxton Berrios, he's now going to slide into Crowder's role as a slot receiver. They only have 2 other receivers on the roster right now, Jeff Smith and Vincent Smith. Becton and George Fant, left tackle, right tackle, full participants in practice. They are ready to go. And Chiefs coming in off of beating the Broncos 43-16, and they were 0-8 on third down. The 17 points off of turnovers. Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown to the fourth quarter. Le'Veon Bell up against his former team. I expect him to get the ball a lot. His player prop is at 40.5 yards, but heavily juiced to the over. And Chiefs 18th in overall defense, but they're 4th in the NFL against the pass. Mitchell Schwartz, Sammy Watkins are both out. Okafor on injured reserve. What do you think of this under 49 I'm on?
Look, the Chiefs are capable of putting that point total up themselves, but what we talked about on Tuesday was them getting up early and taking their foot off the gas, or just coming into this game knowing that they don't have to try that hard to win it. So I think it's a sneaky look. I wouldn't bet it myself just because of the power that the Chiefs have, and who knows, maybe they just go off in this game. They could, but that's not really Andy Reid's style. So I kind of like it. I don't see the Jets putting up points at all. If it wasn't 20 points, I'd really like to bet on this game. It's just, I don't know how hard the Chiefs are going to try in this one. For me, it's still KC or no play, and I think your underplay is sneaky and it could cash, but you know that the Chiefs could easily put up that total themselves.
You know, the Jets team total 2 hours ago was 13.5. and it was heavily juiced to the over. And then it's moved in the last hour to 14.5, now juiced to the under. 14.5 points. You think the Jets can get to 15 points here, Bebsy?
I don't see it unless they're playing their backups by the end of the game, which could very well be. You know, the Chiefs could roll out an entire different team in the second half and still be better. That's why if you are going to bet the spread, I think you look at first half and you ignore the full game here.
That first half is now up to 12.5. 12.5 at minus 105.
I would still be more comfortable taking that 12.5 than I would be taking the minus 19.5.
It's interesting. The full game's gone from 20.5 down to 19.5. First half's gone from 11.5 to 12.5. So you know where the betting public is moving. It's moving on that first half look. First half look. Mr. Playtime saying Vikings live dog. I stayed off that game, but Bebsy bullish on the Packers. What do you think of that team total under 14.5? Is it just because of that? I mean,
the only thing that scares me from that, because if it's the Chiefs' first team defense the whole game, then I don't see them getting a touchdown. I don't know how they do it unless there's just a major gaffe and there's one big chunk play. But I don't see them putting up points until they're just not trying at the end of the game. I see garbage time being your problem in this one.
Yeah. It's a beautiful day, though. If it was really cold or snowy or dangerous conditions with rain, just dangerous for injuries late in the game, I would think that maybe they pull the guys. But you're right. It's a little – I'm going to put it here as a possible addition. A couple askers, a possible addition. Okay, let's keep rolling through this card. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. Odds.com. Rams, Miami, Dolphins up next. And this has been calling at me. I want to fade Tua. And I think what's keeping me off is I felt the same thing about Herbert, and that blew up in my face. I want to fade Tua badly, and I'm hesitant to do it. We have Gas Station Sushi already pop in our chat and say that he is fading Tua, and I want to do it. Before we break everything down in this game, the Rams on that short rest Monday sitting as 3.5-point road favorites. This total's gone from 47 to 46.5. And by the way, Noli knows back in this under in the Chiefs-Jets game, back in that under, which I like to see. Rams, Dolphins, what are your expectations of Tua in this spot, Bebsy?
I just, I said this all Tuesday. I just think this is a terrible decision timing-wise for Brian Flores. I understand why. You didn't want Fitz to win. If Fitz wins again, he wins 3 games in a row, and then you switch to Tua, then the fan base loses it. So you have to at some point. However, going up against this Rams front, in particular Aaron Donald, it's just a really tough spot for a rookie who, the last game this kid played in, he was carted off the field with his legs broken to shreds and his hip. It's just an ugly spot, I think, to put this guy in. And the other thing is, how many times have we seen Bama quarterbacks come into the NFL and do absolutely nothing? Because when you play for Alabama, you have incredible receivers. You have the best O-line in college football, so you don't get touched and you throw to superstars. So I'm still not sold on Tua being that great. I like the kid. He looks the part. He's athletic. He's got a good arm. He's accurate. I just don't know what to expect from him at the pro level. And for me, it's Rams or no play this week. But I'm worried about Tua. I like the kid. I want him to succeed. I just think it's a tough spot for him.
Very, very tough spot. Nuke Worker jumped in on the Rams -3, -120 this morning. 85 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 10 miles per hour. Nice weather in Miami. Rams are on a short week. 24-10 win over the Bears. Terrell Burgess, their rookie safeties, out of the lineup. And now the Rams are up to 6th in the NFL in yards per game allowed at 313. Only Baltimore has allowed fewer points per game than the Rams. And Donald and the whole defense are destroying teams in the second half. They've only allowed 33 total points in the second half. They haven't allowed a touchdown in the second half since week 3. And then Dolphins coming off a bye. Last time we saw them was that 24-0 win over the Jets. They're looking for their third straight victory. Chance to climb over 500 for the first time in the Flores era. And it's the first time in a decade they've had 2 consecutive opponents to less than 150 yards passing. Cornerback Jamal Perry out with a foot injury. Ashley Wade says fading Tua is a mistake. And I don't think I need to do it. Birdie says Rams, who have had a stupid hard travel schedule, looking at their bye on a short week, tough spot for the Rams. Tough spot for the Rams. And I agree with that. And this is a watch.
It's just a difficult game to call, especially because we have no idea what to expect from Tua.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy could be a sensational, early star, and he might blow them up just away. Aaron Donald might not get anywhere near him today. Or Aaron Donald crashes through the line and ruins his career in the first quarter. I don't know. It's just I really want to see Tua play a few NFL football games before I decide what I think of him. But, coming off that injury, and especially what I said about Bama quarterbacks, a lot of guys look great when you're surrounded by an all-star team.
Alrighty. God, I gotta stop saying that. Sonny, what's wrong, man? I'm just showing my age so fast. Sonny Griffin says, have you all already spoke Steelers versus Ravens? Let's go over there right now because this is contentious. I doubled up on the Baltimore Ravens. First half -3, full game -4. I think the Ravens absolutely attack. I think this is a perfect storm odds-wise for me. Ravens, if they had to beat the Eagles 40-5 or 40-8, they were up what? They were up 30-6, wasn't it? 30-6 before that 22-point fourth quarter comeback for the Eagles. I feel like this is a perfect storm for me. 53 Fahrenheit, light rain, 8 miles per hour, and the Ravens are rested, and this game means so much to them. And I know it means so much to Pittsburgh as well. I guess I could have got a 5-cent better line if I had got in now. Interesting. Heritage and a couple other offshores have moved it to 3.5. Pittsburgh converted its first 7 third downs, scored 5 of their first 6 drives against Tennessee, 27-24, and I guess took their foot off the gas. Top-ranked defense, lone remaining undefeated team. They've gone over 26 points in each of their first 6 games. Roethlisberger playing very well, 68% completion, 13 TDs, 4 picks. 6 different players are being targeted at least 20 times. Defensive lineman Chris Wormley, knee injury on IR. So now the Steelers are without Jordan Dangerfield, Chris Wormley, Ulysses Gilbert. All 3 ruled out. Ravens have won 4 straight following a bye. They're 10-2 after a bye under Harbaugh. Baltimore's been running the ball well, but this passing game's ranked 31st. Jackson has 35 TD passes, only 3 picks last 14 starts. Ngakoue should make his Ravens debut. Mark Ingram, ankle injury. And Levine, their safety Anthony Levine and quarterback Jimmy Smith are questionable. You are on this team total over 20.5 for the Steelers. And I'm doubling up on the Ravens. Take it away.
Yeah, if I was going to play the spread here, I'd be going against you. I just think the Steelers, I've been on them all year. I was on them at the start of the year when I feel like everyone else was sleeping on them. But look, the Ravens have played great against bad teams, and they got embarrassed by the Chiefs. So that's why I don't have a ton of confidence in the Ravens. Now, the reason I'm not jumping all over the Steelers is the Ravens are healthier, they're well coached, and coming off a bye. So that is a tough spot for the Steelers. I love that the team total order's gone down, I think, for the Steelers. It's gone down a point, but I'm still quite confident in this. I think this ends up being a high-scoring affair. But my gut says that the Steelers do cover. I still think they might win this game. I just think they're a better team top to bottom, but it's a really tough spot going into Baltimore with Baltimore coming off the bye. These teams are going to absolutely beat the piss out of each other today. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. That's why I'm going to sit back and enjoy the game as a fan of football, but I still love that team total over. And if you're sitting there, you haven't bet on it, and you can get there at 19.5 for the Steelers, I just think that's a very easy play.
We in the field house liking the Steelers +4. Brian Watson likes the under in this spot. It's dropped 5 points from its opener at Bet365 from 49 to 44. What do you think of this total?
What are we sitting at now?
44. It's now. You know what? This has gone too low to me at this point. To me, I think this has gone too low, from 49 down to 44. What do you think?
Yeah, I might jump on that.
Too low, right?
44 is too low. I'm going to add that.
Well, you know what? I will join you. I just think it's too low, light rain or not. Al Cervic says Bebsy not on Pitt. No, he's not on Pitt. And he's been backing them with success, but not here. Matthew Edwards giving us the final score: Steelers 24, Ravens 17. I just don't feel that will be the case. I think this is too low. Corey Still says reverse move. It drops. I'm over. Viper says it's raining. I think that's good that it's raining. The fact that it's raining and the rain's supposed to die off throughout before kickoff, and that light rain is why we're getting this total at 44. That's why we're getting this total at 44. Let's see what our man Pick and Pop is on right now. Steelers +160 money line and over 44.5 for Pick and Pop. I like it, Pick and Pop. All right, I'm jumping in now. So, and I will line shop for our man Bebsy here on odds.com and see what he can get from the legal licensed American books. Here we go. Bebsy, we're going with the total. And we've waited till it's dropped 5 points from where Bet365 opened it. This Steelers total right now, wow, 43.5 at BetMGM.
Ooh, doctor.
That's nice. Minus 115 for you, Bebsy. Okay, so I'm going to put Bebsy 43.5 at BetMGM. And I'm also going to be adding the over. I will get 44. Eric Swiatek has 53 projected. I like that, Eric.
Yeah, Al, I still, if I had a free play, I'd take Pittsburgh. I still like them in this. It's a really tough spot for them to go into Baltimore with Baltimore coming off the bye. But my gut still says Steelers pull this out. So if you got them at +5, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Jimmy Gomez on Steelers +3.5 and leaning under 46.5. This is going to be wonderful football. I can't wait to watch this game. And I've doubled up on the Ravens. We've just added the over 44. Bebsy's going to get at 43.5 at BetMGM. That's Bebsy's second edition on a Sunday show. He's only had one other edition, and that was the Chiefs -7 last week. After that spread had gone from 10 to 7. And James Lill, would I take the under 43 in Pats Bills? Yes. It's a 41 now, and I don't think I'd be too concerned with that spot. I would, if that was available to me, I'd probably take it. But again, I didn't take the 43.5 on Tuesday. I don't know why. All right, those are the 1 p.m. games. Bebsy, those are the 1 p.m. games. Let's go over your action. You've just made an addition for the over 44. You have the Colts -2.5, Packers first half -3.5, Packers full game -6.5, Tennessee -6. You have that over with me in Titans Bengals that went hard against us. And you have Steelers team total over 20.5. What is your best bet on the 1 p.m. card?
I love Green Bay first half at 3.5. I do love this Pittsburgh team total 20.5 as well, and especially like that going down to 19.5 is just a little sweeter. But I'm pretty confident in both those spots. I thought I was more confident in Indy. You in the chat kind of talking me down a little bit, but I still like that play a lot.
I'm backing the Ravens, and I'll go far enough to say that the Ravens right now minus 3.5 is my favorite bet on the 1 p.m. slate. And I like Ravens first half very much as well. Alrighty, there is the 1 p.m. games. Cole says slow that down. So Bebsy's on the Colts minus 2.5, Packers first half minus 3.5, Packers full game minus 6.5, Titans minus 6, Tennessee, Cincinnati over 54.5, Steelers team total over 20.5, and he's 29-13 on the season, plus 13.99 units. Okay, and then I doubled up. How many times do I have to say it? Just hate myself for it. The Titans Bengals over at just this ridiculously bad line. And then I added the double up on the Ravens. Now I'm on the over in that game. The Jets Chiefs under 49 and the Bengals plus 7. And Scott Max says, what, Philip, where rivers do we get today? That's why I wouldn't question anybody for taking the Lions plus 3, but I'm off. Okay, we move on to 4:05 action, and we start with two teams dealing with COVID. Let's move over to this 4:05 Chargers Broncos spot. Looking all week to see if this game would go, and it's going to go, and that's a good sign. Chargers open up at -1. They're now -3. There is a 3.5 on the board. This total is sitting at 44.5, and I still haven't pulled the trigger on this Herbert rush prop. I've been hesitant to do any props right now just because I'm 0-3 on the year with them, and I want to get in. My thinking for the Herbert prop was pretty simple. The Chargers have not been running the ball well at all, and it allows teams to go into a pass defense. And if there's nothing available, why wouldn't Herbert get on the run? He rushed for 66 yards last game, and he'll have to do it because Kelly and Justin Jackson aren't doing the job. They need Eckler back. And Herbert has been so good with the deep pass. 9 of 18, 569 yards, 4 touchdowns past 3 games on passes over 20 yards, that it's an appealing prop for me. An appealing prop. So the COVID test for the Chargers was Ryan Groy, their guard. So he's on the reserve COVID-19 list. For the Broncos, they've all been cleared to practice now, except for Graham Glasgow. He's on the COVID reserve list. Tackle DeMar Dotson, guard Austin Schlottman. They're both good. And they practice Saturday. They're coming off that ugly 43-16 win. Philip Lindsay, who had a concussion last week, is expected to play. Things went downhill fast when he left. Melvin just not looking very good. Tim Patrick is a game-time decision. He's been such an important wide receiver for them. Linebacker Jeremiah Atauchu is questionable with a quadriceps injury. Tight end Jake Butt, questionable with a hamstring injury. And I have Deontay Johnson is out here with my – so I'm not sure if everybody has that because I saw someone with the Deontay Johnson prop, I thought. Take it away, Bebsy. Big 4:05 spot, Chargers, Broncos.
Look, both these teams are 2-4, and I don't think anybody preseason would have picked these two teams to be at 2-4 just because of their rosters. Now, the injury bug really destroyed the Broncos. They were kind of the darlings of the offseason, which I wasn't about. I didn't think they were as good as people thought they would be. So I think their 2-4 record is properly reflecting the team that they are. I think, and I know you're not an Anthony Lynn supporter, and this stands to reason why, but I think the Chargers are better than their 2-4 record. They've lost some tough games. Herbert's played great in several losses, but I don't know how you can bet on them with all the injuries coming into Mile High Stadium. It's just a really difficult spot. So I think there's value on the Broncos here. I'm not playing it because if I just look at the two teams top to bottom, I like the Chargers more. But if you need to bet this game, I think you go with the Broncos at home here.
Yeah, I shouldn't have gone back to the well, no, I didn't really go back on the wall with the Broncos, but I took the under last week, and the only way that would succeed is if the Broncos played well. Mr. Funmong says Chargers will show Denver why they got rid of Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I'm with Mr. Funmug there. I think Melvin Gordon is an awful running back. And I've said this before. You go look at his highlight reel. His highlight reel, which is supposed to be the best things he's done, it's not special. All he can do is hit open holes and he doesn't break a ton of tackles. He doesn't make people miss. He's one of the more overrated guys in football. Sorry if you're a Melvin Gordon fan.
So this sort of, I guess, does this go against my move of never betting a player prop after a player has a career day? Herbert's rush yards is at 16.5. He's coming off a 66-yard game. Do you think that it's a pretty simple breakdown that I made that Herbert will have to run because their running backs aren't running and they'll be throwing the ball often, and when everybody's covered, it will mean Herbert will run? Is that a pretty simple breakdown that obviously the Broncos will have a spy on him?
Yeah, it just feels like that number's so low, it's incredibly enticing. But I don't know. You're struggling on props. I think that's a good look. I like your breakdown. It makes sense.
And yeah, it's gorgeous weather in Denver and Colorado, by the way. Just beautiful weather. Spenny Pennybaum's considered a Herbert rushing touchdown. Okay. So I'm still very interested in this over 16.5 rush yards.
It's so low, it feels like, he could do that on the second play of the game. They try and run the ball. They get stuffed. It's second and long. He drops back to pass. It breaks down. He takes off. Bam, you've already hit your prop.
Yeah. Alrighty. That's the 405 spot. I'm close to adding Herbert rush props at the 16.5 yards. Let's move on to Saints, Bears. This was a spot where during the week I was sitting there humming and hawing on whether I should back the Saints. I've not done it. 37 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 20 miles per hour is the wind in Chicago. Saints coming off 27-24 win at home over the Panthers. 3 wide receivers out, Thomas, Sanders, and Callaway. They promoted 3 receivers from their practice squad, Austin Carr, Juwan Johnson, and Tommy Lee Lewis. Kamara continues to dominate, leads the NFL with 824 yards from scrimmage. Rankins has been stepping up. Took him a little bit of time after the Achilles tendon surgery. Davenport returned after missing the first 4 games with elbow and toe injuries. He had a sack against the Panthers. Then we have the Bears on a short week coming off 24-10 loss to the Rams. Their offense struggling. Their defense, top 10 defense, gave up 161 yards rushing, 371 in all to the Rams. Foles, 28 of 40, 261 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Last 4 games, Bears are averaging 16 points per game. Foles has as many touchdowns as interceptions in 5 games, 4 starts. Allen Robinson will be in the lineup after the concussion last week. He's 8th in the NFL in catches and yards receiving at 544. Bears offense, 29th in yards per game, 27th in scoring, 19.7 points per game. They're already without – they're going to be without Cody Whitehair, most likely the calf injury in Monday's game. They're already missing James Daniels, who's going to be done for the year with a pectoral injury, averaging 84.1 yards per game on the ground. That's a league low. They've gone from 414 yards rushing in the first 3 games to 175 in the past 4. Then they're averaging 2.4 yards in that span, 4.93 in the first 3 weeks. Their running game is completely stopped. And the talk I had about, because I was on the Bears team total under against the Rams, why I didn't want to go back is that Chicago is allowing 42.3% of opponents' trips inside the 20 for touchdowns. That's the best in the league. Saints are the worst at 86.4. But can the Bears offense take advantage of it? Maybe not. Bebsy, Saints, Bears.
Look, they have to get into the red zone to take advantage of it. And right now, this Bears offense just can't move the ball. So this screams Saints to me. But, Matthew Edwards just said the Saints – he said exactly what I'm thinking. The Saints are so undependable right now. You don't know what Saints team's going to roll out. And in previous years, yeah, they started slow and they picked it up. And then they, by the end of the season, they're just this this powerhouse rolling in to lose the playoffs. But everything screams Saints for me in this game, because I don't think the Bears can move the ball against anybody. And the Saints have had an underachieving defense so far this year. So I like them to get up for this game. You're saying there's some guys coming back, which bodes well for the Saints. But I just find them a very hard team to bet on right now.
Yeah, I can't take them at 5. I wasn't even sure if I was going to take them at 4. And now it's at 4.5. Let's see. Or sorry, now it's at 5. Let's see where the betting public is on this game. They're on the Saints. Saints are being backed. And this is one of those spots where the over has the tickets over 50%, but the under has all the cash. Christian Larson says first time Saints are playing outdoors this season. Says Dink and Dunk for a breeze. And Pick and Pop is on a parlay Broncos money line and the under 45, and Saints money line and the over 41.5.
What are you getting for a points total here?
This point total is at 41.5 or 41.
Yeah, it's low, and I would still lean under on this. I don't see a ton of points from either side. The Bears defense is great. And their offense is terrible. So you know right away, you just looking at the Bears, you think under.
Interesting. We have Christian Rivas saying Trent Brown is out for the Raiders. So is that confirmed? Because I had him returning to the lineup. Could we please get that? Can someone confirm that, please? Thank you for the heads up, Christian. That is Bears Saints. We have a team total under 19.5 for the Bears. I know that went down to 18.5. Let's see what it is right now with the Bears. And that team total right now, if you want it, is down to 17.5. Oh, Bebsy, great job. Not only that, it's gone 2 points, and it's minus 138 to the under. The guys are confirming it right now. Announced Trent Brown is out. Wow, I wonder if that changes the market towards the Raiders. Wow, that's.
I mean, the spite bet could turn out looking real nice.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let's move on to Niners Seahawks. Nice day in Seattle, Pacific Northwest. 53 Fahrenheit, clear. 2 miles per hour is the wind. Seattle opened up as 3-point favorites. That's all the way down to 1. All the way down to 1. There is Dutch Boy Fresh in the house west. Al Cervic, Dennis Garcia, Cream of Wheat Jones, John Legend, Christian Rivas, Mr. Fun Monk, Sonny Griffin, Joseph Browning, AB. Niners coming off handing the Patriots the worst home loss of the Belichick era, 33-6. They put together great defensive efforts in back-to-back weeks against the Rams and Patriots, allowing 22 points and intercepting 5 passes in those 2 games. Samuel ruled out with a hamstring injury. Wilson ruled out with an ankle injury. Quan Alexander, Richie James Jr., Tart, all doubtful. I guess, we'll let Bebsy give us the latest because he is so tight with this 49ers team. Kentavious Street is sick. Safety Jimmy Ward, quadriceps injury are questionable. There's a chance Kwan Williams, Tevin Coleman, and Jordan Reed could be activated. Did they get activated yesterday? What's the latest update?
I heard that they're probably going to keep Reed out, maybe more as a precaution. But I thought Kwan Williams was a possible to go, but I think this is a game time decision for all those guys.
Game time for all these guys. Seahawks coming off their first loss of the year, 37-34 Arizona, making mistakes. Wilson finished with 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, ran for 84 yards, but threw 3 costly interceptions. And it wasn't that. It was Seattle has 2 big issues right now. One, at running back, they're just so beat up. They have Carson with a foot injury, Hyde with a hamstring injury, Homer with a knee injury. And then their secondary is a mess. Shaquille Griffin out. Amadi doubtful. Jamal Adams questionable. DJ Reed is coming off the IR, so we're going to see him. They're allowing 479.2 yards per game. That's the worst in NFL history through 6 games. They're a tricky team to back, and they're not getting anything. They're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. In that last game, 52 snaps passing from Murray, 0 quarterback hits. Niners, Seahawks, how are you handling this game?
I mean, I think if you got in at the 3, you're probably pretty happy taking the Niners at +3. It's a difficult game to bet because these two teams play each other tough. They both really get up for these games. Not like NFL teams don't normally get up, but there's a lot of hate between these two teams right now. And, it's just a battle of attrition with the injuries. The Seahawks are banged up on both sides. The Niners, obviously, they have a legendary injury run right now. One thing that concerns me as far as the Niners run game goes is Tevin Coleman was activated. And for whatever reason, Shanahan really likes to give Coleman carries when he doesn't move the ball. So this kind of looked like it was going to be the JaMychal Hasty coming out party this week. And he's looked fantastic. He's young. He looks like a tiny Marshawn Lynch. But I expect Coleman to get more carries than he should in this game. And also, this offense opened up so much with Deebo coming back. And now that Deebo Samuel is out again, I wonder how they're going to move the ball. None of the other receivers other than Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle have really consistently made plays this year. Now, I don't know if that's going to be that much of an issue because this Seattle defense is horrendous. And now they're hurt on top of being horrendous. I think they have the worst passing defense in the NFL right now, or one of the worst anyways. So it's really difficult. I've said the Seahawks offense has been so incredibly impressive all year, but as a team, they're not that impressive because defensively – they have yet to play a balanced team, and the closest they did to playing a balanced team was Arizona, and I'm not that high on Arizona. Both of those teams did everything they could to lose it, and then Arizona finally won in overtime. So right now it's a stay-away game. I think you'd feel pretty good if you got in early in the week and you got the Niners +3. I think there was even some +3.5s. Because I do believe this game winds up being tight because Seattle's going to put up points. There's no question about that, especially with this banged-up Niners defense. But the Seattle defense can't stop anyone. And so Shanahan's going to find ways to score on them.
So what do you think of this over? It's beautiful weather, no wind, 53 Fahrenheit. What do you think of backing this over? Opens at 54, it's now 54.5.
I mean, it's still a lot of points because, like I said before, these two teams play each other really tough. So, it could just be everybody gets up and shuts this down. I think it's a little bit high, but I can also see it happening with the way that Seattle's played all year, which is right down to the wire and giving up a ton of points.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I see a lot of people putting the stock into Jamal Adams, and there's no doubt that Jamal Adams is a great player, but I don't know if he's a huge impact. He's a huge impact if you have a ton of studs also, but they don't create a pass rush. So Jamal Adams then becomes the pass rush. So he's great as a blitzer, but in coverage, which, I think he gets he gets unfairly lumped in as a box safety because of the fact that he blitzes so well. I think he's great in coverage too. I don't think he's that big of a swing coming back.
And no move for you in this Niners Seahawks battle.
No, I just don't see a play. Again, anybody who got in early on the 49ers with points, that's looking pretty good, I think.
Intech saying, what's the election odds right now? It's where you have it, right? It's it's plus 200 for Trump, minus 170 for Biden, I believe. I'll double check that. Very interested because after the second primary that Sanders won to start it off, my dad and I each got on the Biden at 2,000. plus 2,000, 20-1, and I have not hedged it. Just take one last look. I don't want to give you the wrong information there on this big Tuesday election. Yeah, Biden's at minus 200, Trump at plus 170. Sorry, I had that the other way around. Biden minus 200, Trump at plus 170. There is that Seahawks-Niners spot. Let's move on to the night game. A lot of cappers want this night game to get switched out, but not me. I added the Cowboys plus 10.5, and it's DiNucci time, baby. And I think that I'm getting value on the Cowboys plus 10.5. 48 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 50 miles per hour in Philly. Am I crazy to think that I'm getting value on this Cowboys squad at plus 10.5?
Yes.
Okay.
Man, they're so bad. They're so bad, and they're so injured.
But they're getting back. Zach Martin, after missing the game with a concussion. Joe Looney, back, activated from injured reserve. And Sean Lee is going to play his first game of the year. And I know that Sean Lee's broken, but man, he's a leader, and he can step up. What do you think of getting these three guys back that are important?
I think leadership-wise, it's big with Sean Lee back in the lineup, but he's their third best linebacker, and so that's not a crazy lift. The leadership factor is absolutely, but he is still their third best linebacker. Offensively, getting Zach Martin back is just monstrous. That's huge. He's the best guard in football. Their line completely fell apart without him, so that helps. But this is, I'm sorry, this Cowboys team is not only are they dejected, but they're infighting. It's just a really, really bad time to be a Cowboys fan. It's a bad time to be a Cowboys player. I see Philly making a statement in this game, and I don't think Philly's a very good team. But this is a Cowboys team in a rough spot.
Dennis Garcia, 0-7 against the spread are the Cowboys, and I am not alone. Diehard MMA podcast hitting Cowboys spread and money line tonight. Okay, I hear what you're saying, Bebsy, but I think that DiNucci being behind center and not having this red rocket who does nothing but lose game after game, having this guy, the 7th round pick, DiNucci, come in might give them a little bit of hope. And what if he does get off to an okay start? I would rather have DiNucci and the Cowboys at plus 10.5 than Dalton at plus 8.5. Is that nuts?
Yeah. We don't know anything about DiNucci, man. DiNucci, he could be a stud, but he could also be Nate Peterman. Like, there's a reason this guy was buried on a depth chart. I don't have any faith in him. And look, he's got weapons, but that O-line is still banged up. Even though they get back Looney and they get back Zach Martin, the outside's still a mess. The tackles are still a mess. So it's just, I got in early with Philadelphia, and I really like that. I'm not sure I would jump on Philadelphia at 10.5. So I guess you do have a bit of value there, but I just can't. I can't see Dallas riding the ship this week unless DiNucci winds up, being a godlike quarterback that nobody saw. But from what I saw in limited action last week, that's not the case.
Yeah, I was close to moving at 11, went down to 10.5. I pulled the trigger. There are 10s on the board now, and Bebsy got in Tuesday at 7, which was a great job. It was something I couldn't do. It wasn't on board at Bet365, but Bebsy, you got it at BetMGM. I think I do not want the Eagles as double-digit favorites. And I know I'm being made fun of with this DiNucci spot, and that's fine. I just think he gives them a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope. Get a new quarterback back there. And Zach Martin's going to help. Sean Lee's going to help a lot. So,
Mr. If Sean Lee finishes the game, man, Sean Lee could be out after 3 snaps.
No doubt about it, but you do respect his game when he's running all over the field healthy.
Dude, Sean Lee is one of the handful of Cowboys I like in the history of the Dallas Cowboys. I have always hated Dallas. Obviously, being a Niners fan, I grew up, they hated each other. I hate Dallas. I've always liked Sean Lee. The guy just can't stay healthy. He's a fantastic player when he's in the game. But that's been his biggest problem, is staying in the game.
DiNucci rush yards is a spot that our Clint, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast, is looking at. Let's see what it is. Rush yards for DiNucci, 14.5.
If you're looking for a play in this garbage game that isn't, I'm pretty content sitting here with -7 at Philly, but yeah, take that DiNucci rush yards, because there's a good chance, especially against this Philly front, he's going to be running for his life today. That's another thing. Even getting those players back on the offensive line, if Philly has something to hang their hat on, it's that defensive line. They still have a lot of strength on that defensive line. That is still one of the better defensive lines in all of football. So that's a tough spot for DiNucci.
DiNucci going to get you in the gooch, man. I'm on DiNucci. I'm on the Cowboys plus 10.5, and I do have interest in the rush yards at over 14.5. I will have to put a little bit more work into that, but that's an interesting look that our Clint is talking about. All right, let's move on to the Monday nighter, Buccaneers Giants. We both got in nice here, Bebsy. We got the first half at 6.5. Right now, if you want the Bucs first half, let me just move over here. Right now, if you want the Bucs first half, you aren't getting that 6.5. We also got the team total over 13.5. That's not available anymore. Sorry, guys. Let's move over to this here. If you want, oh wow, I take that back. You can get heavily juiced 6.5s. There's a couple on the board, but even at Bet365, that -7 is at -120. The first half team total was a nice spot that we jumped on. I really like it, even though there are some banged up receivers, and Godwin being one of them for these Buccaneers. But that first half we got at 13.5. It's now at 14.5, but it's slightly juiced to the under at 14.5. 42 Fahrenheit clear, 12 miles per hour is the wind in New York. Brady coming off a big game against Vegas, 33-45, 369 yards, 4 TDs. He's throwing 15 touchdowns and 1 pick over his last 5 games. Bucs have the number 1 rushing defense, averaging 74.1 yards allowed a game, second with 25 sacks, third with 12 takeaways. Godwin will not play Monday. Mike Evans and Scotty Miller have been struggling with injuries, but they're going to be there, and we have Antonio Brown serving the final game of his 8-game suspension for the personal conduct policy. Giants are on extra rest. Blew 11-point lead in the final 7 minutes of the Thursday nighter, 22-21 loss to the Eagles. Sterling Shepard helps his team enormously, being back in action. And their offensive line is back. They're dealing with some COVID issues. So Andrew Thomas and Cam Fleming, Nick Gates and Shane Lemieux and Spencer Pulley practiced Friday after being told to stay away from the team because they had close contact with starting guard Will Hernandez. Will Hernandez will not play. Devonta Freeman out with an ankle injury, so it's a Gallman show. Safety Adrian Colbert, shoulder injury out, and wide receiver CJ Board, concussion questionable. I really like our spots. I think they're probably the best spots on the card for me. What do you think of our first half, Bucs at 6.5 and team total over 13.5 first half?
I got to agree with you here. I think this is probably the best look on the cards. This is just a Bucs team that should absolutely smash a terrible and injured Giants team. The Giants have shown a little bit of flashes defensively. There's been some guys kind of stepping up on their defense a little bit. They're not going to be able to contain this Bucs offense that just has so much firepower, even with the injuries. The Bucs defense is sneaky good. Playing well even without Vita Vea. It's just this. I love this play. I'm very confident in it. I just don't see the New York Giants putting up a ton of fights here.
Others don't agree. Mr. Funmonk says, "Sorry guys, I'm loving the Giants." Brady announced player of the year player of the month. Player of the year. Big time fade against this recency hype. Giants have been playing teams close. Chillionaire says, "Great letdown spot for the Buccaneers." I still see this as if this was on just a regular Sunday at 1 p.m., I would maybe say that's a possibility. But Brady knows his games are numbered here. And here he's a chance to showcase in front of everybody against the weak Giants defense to show how good he is. Especially
with all the accolades that Tom Brady has gotten throughout his career, you think he gives a shit that he got player of the month? No, he's going all out. He wants nothing more than to prove to Belichick that he can win without him. Even though he's still on a fantastic team with a fantastic coach.
Yeah, this is a spot where Brady's going to want to show off, at least for a half.
And let's not forget, Tom isn't too fond of the Giants.
Yeah, I do think that plays a bit of. Yeah, he holds grudges.
Sure, he does.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. Buccaneers, Giants. Let's go to this total here. Full game. And we are getting, if you want to make a move, it's dropped 2 points down to 45 from 47.5. What do you think of that total?
Sorry, what?
It's gone from 47.5 down to 45.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough spot. It's right where I think it should be. There, I don't see an obvious play one way or another there.
We have one addition on Bebzy's card. One addition, and that is the over 43.5 in the Ravens-Steelers game. That has gone to 44.5 at a couple books. So a couple books have moved that to 44.5. Dennis Garcia is on the Buccaneers money line and the under 45 at plus 118, a little parlay. All right, let's review our action and then go into best bets. Bebzy, you have the Colts at minus 2.5, the Packers first half at minus 3.5, Packers full game at minus 6.5, Titans minus 6, Tennessee, Cincinnati over 54.5, Steelers team total over 20.5, Bears team total under 19.5, Eagles minus 7, great score on Tuesday. Buccaneers first half minus 6.5. Buccaneers first half team total over 13.5, and you just added the over 43.5 in Ravens Steelers. Best bet on the card, Bebzy.
I think like we just said, I'm pretty confident in that Tampa Bay. I'm starting to like that Chicago team total under more as it drops.
Sure.
And I'm still very confident, bullish on that Green Bay first half. I still like first half and full game. I think they're just that much better than many, and I think anybody not on that is really just overthinking this. So there's a few plays I really like.
Let's get the cappers in the chat to all drop their best bet here in the chat and see what you guys have the most confidence in. I'm thinking about adding a spot here, Bebzy. I'm thinking of adding the Bears. And I think that with the injuries that have affected the Saints, and maybe I'll stay off, but at 5 points, is there too much of a recency bias with how bad they looked on the Monday Nighter? Is 5 too many points for the Bears? Who are the Saints going to throw to other than Kamara? And the Bears have a strong enough defense to focus solely on him.
I mean, that's the reason why I'm off. That's the reason why I didn't jump on the Saints. But the Bears' defense is fantastic, but their offense is atrocious, and that's not a recency bias. They've been atrocious all year. They started out with Trubisky. He was terrible. They moved to Foles. They got marginally better, but not much. So I get what you're saying. I don't personally have a ton of confidence in it, and that's why I'm off it. But your logic is sound. I just personally don't love that play.
I have a little time to think about it, but at this point, that 5 might be a little too much. And the Saints, that's that +5 isn't even money in a bunch of books. Okay, I'm not going to add the Bears right now. But so just talk to me a little bit about how the Saints are going to move the ball. We have 3 receivers out. Is it because these guys on the practice roster can do the job? I mean, do we trust Breeze's arm?
Well, I haven't trusted Breeze's arm all year. It's going to be a dink and dunk game for them. Kamara has to have a huge game for them to be able to move the ball. I think you'll see some trickery. You always do from Sean Payton and Taysom Hill, but he's going to have to get very clever to scheme guys open. And I think he can. I put a ton of stock into Sean Payton, the coach, the offensive mind. That's how he continues to move the ball with, key players out like Sanders and Thomas. So, they'll find a way, I believe, even against a very tough Bears defense. Obviously, a really difficult spot. And again, this is why I circle back to just being off this game.
I just think it's too much. Too much. And the Bears could cash your team total under 19.5 and cover the 5. Do you agree with that?
Sorry, what?
That the Bears could score under 19.5 and still cover the 5.
It's more than possible. Their defense is extremely talented, and they have played well regardless of their opponent. But if the Saints can dink and dunk and take time off the clock, that will affect the Bears defense because they're just going to get tired in that fourth quarter. That's what I'm worried about is the second half of that game where the Bears defense has been on the field because their offense can't get anything going. So that's where the Bears start to lose. You saw it last week against the Rams. They just started to wear down because of the inefficiency of their offense. And you see it a lot with teams that are so talented on defense and so weak on offense. Is as good as that defense is, as the game goes on, those guys are just tired. They've been on the field too much. Those pass rushers aren't firing off the line like they were in the first half. So, and Sean Payton knows that. Sean Payton knows that if he has long, drawn-out drives where they wear this team down, it could really open up for them in the second half.
And how do you feel about Breeze first game outdoors? Do you think that's not being talked of the year? Do you think that's not being talked enough about? Do you think that's a detriment for him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's not a young man. He's not old. He's old for football, and he looks old in those games. Like just the way he puts everything into a throw when he tries to go downfield and it dips. He just doesn't have that arm anymore. It's going to affect him playing outside for sure. But again, Sean Payton knows that. I think Breeze is aware of that. He still throws a nice short ball. He cannot go deep anymore, but that's what I'm talking about with his dink and dunk style offense. And yeah, the Bears should be able to put the clamps on early, but I'm worried about late.
Yeah, I think that 5 points is enough. And I'm going to jump on the Bears. Earlier in the week, I thought Emmanuel Sanders was going to play. I know that hadn't been announced or anything, but I just kind of expected him to be back in the lineup, and at least Saints have one option. Now they don't have him, and the market's gone further in the Saints' direction. I think there's a bias happening here because of what everybody saw of the Bears on Monday night and how weak their offense has been. And Joe Yurkovich says, Chicago +5 is the play. I've added the Bears +5. I've added the over 44. I've added the over 44 in the Steelers game. I'm interested in the DiNucci rush yards. I have some interest. I am a little scared. Maybe I should not do the DiNucci rush yards. What if he just gets destroyed by that dangerous Eagles 7 because he's going to be trying to do too much, which leads you to want to take the brush prop. Herbert over 16.5 yards is another prop. Now those games are afternoon games, so I have a little bit of time to decide whether I want to pull the trigger on them. And then the team total under 14.5 for the New York Jets is something that I want to bet. And I plan to do that. By the way, the Cowboys at plus 10.5 is now getting juiced. The 10s will be here soon. I know a lot of you dislike that look. Tony Manning's got DiNucci at 12.5. Matthew Edwards says, do not bet the Bears plus 5. And then Kevin Campbell, we'll end with this prop question because you talked about maybe you making a move on it and you didn't pull the trigger. You haven't pulled the trigger on a prop yet this year. What do you think about the Claypool over 4.5 receptions? I know you were interested in Claypool with a big bounce back.
Yeah, the 5 catches though in this game is not going to be easy. I don't know if I love that. I would stay off that. I'd be more interested in his total yards because they find ways to get him the ball on jet sweeps, and he can rip off big chunk plays. But this is going to be a slugfest. One of their receivers is out too, which bodes well for that play. Who was it? Yeah, Deontay Johnson's out.
No, he's active. I had him listed as out as well, but he's active, and Spenny Pennybombs has moved on the Deontay Johnson prop. So for receiving yards, just so you guys know, for Deontay Johnson's at 53.5, Smith-Schuster 49.5, Chase Claypool 41.5. Anytime touchdown on Chase is at plus 200. So you would prefer the over 41.5 receiving yards for Claypool?
If I'm going to throw a prop at that, it's the over yards for sure.
Josh Murphy says Kamara over 58.5 rush yards. Kamara is their only piece of the puzzle, and he has to be stopped. And that's my only concern, Josh. But he's been covering these props, but they've been getting lower as well. Okay, there you have it. AJS has Big Ben over 1.5 touchdowns. Alvin Smith says Saints win by 10. Matthew Edwards has a parlay Packers first half minus 3.5, Steelers plus 4, Rams minus 3. And my final review of action, I doubled up on the Titans Bengals totals to go over, and that's just been destroyed to the under. The Buccaneers spots I bet on Tuesday are looking good. And then I added this morning Ravens first half and full game double up, Jets Chiefs under 49, Bengals plus 7, Cowboys plus 10.5. And then there's a couple more additions I'm going to be making now. We have about 27 minutes before kickoff, and that will be the Bears plus 5 and that team total over. Sorry, not team, the full game over in Ravens Steelers. There you have it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I love these Sunday shows and love our Tuesday shows as well. Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we do our opening lines show, our early leans and early bets. So please join us for that. But we've got no show without you guys. Let's get a look at Spencer's props one more time. He did add the JaMychal Hasty prop. And let's see what else. Those are his NFL props. Bebsy, any last words, my friend?
Man, just thank you for joining us. Tuesdays and Sundays, this show would be garbage without the chat. We love you guys. Let's get paid.
Let's get paid. Let's get paid. Well put. And also a reminder, you can watch this show live here on YouTube, but once the show is over, it will only be available exclusively on odds.com. Exclusively on odds.com. Shout out to all you guys. Gerald Jones, Spenny Pennybombs, Mike says, I like that over too. I think we're picking the right time to do it. There's Lily Gunn. Much love to you, Lily. Can't wait till we're all hanging out in Vegas together. Al Cervic, Jason Falk, Matthew Edwards, Jay Biz, Mr. Fun Monk, Swervin, Terrell Goodman, a Freshival, Aaron Gaza, Clint Starr, the diehard MMA podcast. It's just him and I on the Cowboys tonight. Going to make a bum fight enjoyable. Josh Murphy, the real Jolly Roger, Tony Mang. All you guys, thank you so much. Have a giant Sunday. Let's keep rolling. Bebsy, what a year it's been so far. 29-13 plus 13.99 units. Let's get that up over 15. Moving into next week's action. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Bebsy, thanks so much, my man.
Much love, Jimmy.
Let's get it.